Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Wowhead Weekly. This week we've had some news on the PTR opening up, a 10th anniversary update, as well as a beta build. As ever, I'm joined by my co-host and Wowhead site manager, Peculiar. How are you doing this week, Pac?
Pretty good. We've had two beta builds and a PTR, so
Yeah.
it's been one of our busier
It's
weeks.
been a
But
busy
hanging
week for
in there.
sure. It's been a busy week, and there was even a little update to the PTR last night, wasn't there? And I know that I glanced, like I was cooking, and I glanced to hit chat. I
Something
was
for
like, oh my
Korean-only
god.
realms, but we got to it. Oh god, and, we're going for it.
Like after two builds, like what is it? We had a build, and then like we had one build. It was early in the week. Was it Monday or
It was
Tuesday?
Monday.
It was
Monday we
Monday.
had beta build 1.
Yeah.
Tuesday was PTR, and then Wednesday was beta build something else.
Yeah, it's just like it's been a busy
1850.
old week. So, as we mentioned, obviously the PTR has launched this week, and I know Perk, you have had a lot of questions, and I've had a fair amount as well, of people just sort of saying, okay, what's the difference between a PTR and a beta? So,
Yeah, that's a great thing
yeah,
to
it is.
clarify for everyone.
Yeah, so Perk, run us through exactly what the difference is between a PTR and a beta.
Okay, so in this scenario, usually a PTR is not up at the same time as a beta, but for the launch of an expansion, they are. The PTR basically is the updated level 90 content and any sort of what's called system changes that are coming in Warlords. So you have things like new character models, any UI updates like the toy box. You have any changed low-level instances like UBRS. You have the pre-launch event like the Blasted Lands. You have the new raid difficulties like Heroic becoming Mythic for Siege of Orgrimmar. But what you don't get is you don't get to go to Draenor. You don't get to play in the PTR and gain experience and get to 100. You don't get your garrison. You can't like pick up a cool battle pet in a Draenor pet zone. So basically, you just sort of have the framework for what's coming in Warlords of Draenor.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it relates to the 6.0 launch, basically. So it's not the actual whole expansion. It's just what's coming in the 6.0 pre-patch. So this thing which Blizzard have been talking about coming out approximately a month before the expansion. So it's safe for us to assume sometime in mid-October. And the PTR is kind of previewing what the world is going to look like for players in the live game, because obviously you don't have to have even bought Warlords of Draenor to see these changes. And that's all going to happen in the 6.0 patch. So as Perk mentioned, you've got all of the UI changes, so things like the toy box, like we're getting the toy box, so that check that out on Wowhead. There's a
We're getting the
huge
Group
guide.
Finder UI.
Yeah, the Group Finder UI is in for sure. The map changes are likely to be in as well. So if indeed they are in, having played on it.
Yes.
So the map, there's this bit where the quest bit is on the side of the map. So you've got your map and your quest together, which is really nice just to be able to see them more easily. And the map does this cool thing where it kind of fades out as you start moving, and so you can see where you're going and also still have the map up there for reference. Personally, I'm always still closing it anyway out of force of habit, but it's nice to have the option.
If I want screenshots, I don't want it there at
No,
all.
you don't want a huge great map in the corner of the screen. And also we've got like the changes to the Blasted Lands, and we'll come to that in a little bit. Because
One more important thing,
Oh, yeah.
bag changes are in. So you have this special bag for your reagents like crafting materials, herbs, or you also you can sort your bags by different options, and you get a different void storage tab. So you have
Right.
lots more bag space between the toy box, extra void storage, a huge extra
Yeah.
bank to stick all your crafting stuff into. So that is all coming in October,
Yeah.
not November.
Yay! So early stuff. Like, oh my goodness. Like, it's going to take me a month to clear out my bags and get that all stuff in there into those new zones and everything. So that's fantastic. We've also, obviously, the Mythic changes are in. So if you want to try out Mythic, Siege of Orgrimmar, do it on the PTR, find out with the new class changes. All of the talent changes are in as well. So all of the, I mean, obviously there's not a huge talent change system like there was going from Cataclysm to Mr. Pandaria.
You'll see what's cut though.
But yeah, it's all there are changes. There's level 100 talents that you can't get yet. There's obviously also a lot of changes, like a lot of the mage lower level talents have changed. So if you're interested in that, if you're playing a mage, you can definitely go check that out on the PTR. Everything that doesn't involve leveling. So if it doesn't involve going to Draenor, leveling up, then it's all there. And one of the big things that obviously we've just touched on it for now is the questing that comes with the changes to the Blasted Lands. So obviously this is story stuff, and as is the kind of the good guy Wowhead thing to do with story stuff. Spoiler warning, guys. Obviously, if you are not keen on getting spoiled for the upcoming Warlords of Draenor 6.0 quest content and the story that's within that, then don't watch this bit. I will, as ever, put a warning in the video description below that tells you the timestamp when you can safely come back and stay blissfully unaware of what's going on in 6.0 and story spoiler free. So do have a look at that. If you don't want spoilers, stop watching the video right now. All right, so if you're still here, you obviously do want spoilers and you're cool with it and you're not going to complain to us in the comments that we spoil content for you. So anyway, that aside, obviously one of the big things that's in is the Horde and Alliance quest lines that take place in the Blasted Lands as the sort of preamble, the sort of build up to the expansion. So Perk and I played through them on the beta where they were exactly the same. And I did the Horde side, Perk did the Alliance side. And so Perk, overall, like just in a sort of very general way, what did you think of the quests? I mean,
they felt... I like the rewards that they gave, and I think that the changes to the Blasted Lands looked really interesting. Netherguard Keep is in ruins, there's Iron Horde everywhere. The quests did feel a bit straightforward, though. It was a very easy quest line that essentially... build up the Iron Horde as a threat, made you feel bad that, you know, they destroyed part of the Blasted Lands, and you got a special little iron starlet pet that looks like the Gara thing. But the quest seemed kind of straightforward, I felt. You know, like for better or worse, I think they were pretty much the same as what we saw very early on in beta, and we thought they were going to get more nuanced or more creative, and you know, I guess it's straightforward if you want to run alts through for whatever reason. It's really easy to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think, I mean, it's more than what we had for Mist of Pandaria. I like how, I think questing versus the scenario makes things feel more accessible, so that's good, and the, you know, the Dark Portal looks really cool. But yeah, I just thought they'd be a little more intricate based on what we've heard in the past.
I mean, if you remember, if you were watching when we were streaming the very early beta, we were actually, like, I was questing around and saying when they first launched Shadowmoon Valley, I got some bad information from one of the Blizzard CMs who told me that the way to get to Shadowmoon Valley was to go all the way down south of the Blasted Lands and find Vindicator Morad there. So obviously I believed him, as you would if someone from Blizzard tells you to do something, and I went down there and I think I spent about 20 minutes questing around in the Blasted Lands trying to get to Shadowmoon Valley. And another Blizzard employee, Russ Peterson, who's the reward systems designer, said, oh, no, don't do those quests, don't do this quest, they're not finished, they're not done, here's how you get to Shadowmoon Valley. And I, again, as someone from Blizzard tells you to do something, I did that. So I went to Shadowmoon Valley and I carried on with my life. And he was saying, these are not the 6.0 quests, it's all going to be completely different, and it's so exactly the same. Like, it's so the same, it's precisely the same. I think the quests are even called the same things. So, oh well, I mean, it's not bad, like it's not a terrible experience, it's a fun story, and I enjoy seeing the story play out, and like Thrall is omnipresent in WoW lore, and this is no exception. Is he around at the Alliance side as well?
I don't believe so. I think there are different people there. I don't always check my screenshots, but I think I would have remembered Thrall being there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you do, one does, particularly as an Alliance player. But yeah, he was very much around and like helping you out with all the steps. And it was nice to see them sort of going, oh my god, what's happened to Netherguard Keep? And we have to push the Iron Horde back and do this, do that, kill this guy. And it was cool to see the Iron Horde sort of creeping into Azeroth, going through the Dark Portal, and it leads nicely into the opening to Nan quest lines, where you've gone back in there and you're trying to shut it down to stop these forces pouring out into the Azeroth that you know. So it's definitely cool from that angle.
Another touching on alts again is what I bring up. UBRS, the first bosses are available as well as part of this pre-launch event, and they've recently changed the item levels on the loot to be item level 550. So, you know, speaking of alts, that is pretty nice to be able to get these eye level 550 versions of popular things like the, you know, the Finkel Skinner. There is a better version of that. The Polychromatic Vision Wrap, the really cool shirt. There's the high level version of that now. So that could be a really great way to get your alts, or if you're coming back to WoW, you know, get some really good gear, get up to speed, you know, be in great shape for Warlords. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a really great tip. So yeah, definitely once 6.0 launches, hit Ubers hard and you'll be really set to go. That's a really awesome tip. I'll try and remember to put that outside of the spoiler warning somewhere so that we don't have that blacked out for people who are worried about spoilers. But yeah, actually I suppose that we could stop the spoilers back just there then, because the rest of the stuff we don't need to talk about the story. So how long did it take is something that people have asked me. 20 minutes? Half an hour?
10, 15. I was documenting everything for the post, but I'm sure if I didn't do that, it would go even
Yeah,
faster.
exactly. Like I was taking a ton of screenshots and like writing stuff down to make sure we got all the quests in for the post. And like if we weren't doing that, it would have been a lot faster as well. So maximum 20 minutes, I'd say. And I don't doubt that with lots of players in the zone, it'll take a bit longer because obviously Perk and I pretty much had the place to ourselves.
Yeah.
So it could be some element of having to find certain mobs, like the executioners, which are around. They're a certain type of mob, and they were kind of in short supply. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see those being a little bit in demand. Was it a good introduction to the expansion? Like, way better than Theramore.
Yeah, I just keep thinking of how awesome it was for Wrath
Yeah.
of the Lich King with the zombie invasion.
Of course, yeah.
But, you know, it is better than MOP, I think. I like how there is the instance thing you can do, and then the questing thing you can do, and there's a special pet and title that's, you know,
Yeah.
associated with the event, which is still more than MOP.
Yeah, and it's also in a way it's kind of annoying, but that it's a pet that's account wide. But in a way, it's nice because you shouldn't feel in any way under pressure to go through this content with multiple characters. Because once you've done it, you've done it. Like you're not getting any cool loot. You're not getting any unless they add stuff in. You're not getting any big upgrades. You're just getting this cool little Iron Starlet pet. But as you all know, pets once obtained are account wide, so there's no real burning necessity to do the content again on alts unless you really, really want to. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I don't think Blizzard should be forcing you through this multiple times because it's fine and it's good, but it doesn't benefit, like it doesn't merit repetition, I don't think.
Right.
So the only other question about this really is how does the zone work for leveling characters? So if you're just someone who's level 57, 58 and you're pootling around the Blasted Lands, are you now going to get punched in the face by the Iron Horde?
So I've reached out for clarification on this because as part of the database maintenance I have to, you know, mark all the pages that are going away, like, oh, if these NPCs are gone, I have to hide them from search results. So I reached out for clarification saying, you know, hey, do I have to remove anything from the Blasted Lands, or is this going to be phased like Theramore? And I was told that it's going to be phased. So, you know, Alliance, low-level characters still have their questing hub in the Blasted Lands. They still have their flight paths. And this is a special phased version that does not interfere with the pre-existing stuff in the zone.
Oh, that's good to know. So you're not going to end up having huge amounts of problems in the Blasted Lands if you're just a lower level character who wants to enjoy their questing experience. And I wonder if the Iron Horde, if the Dark Portal is still going to be red, whether it's going to be green.
That's really interesting. I should go check.
We'll have to have a look at that for sure. Level up some characters on them. Mind you, I must have a level 50 that I can copy over to the PTR and check that out.
Yeah.
It can't be that hard. So another piece of fun news this week. We covered this on Wowhead earlier in the week because our hunter guide writer, Adam Coble, who's also known as Bendak, has been working really hard with some people over at the Petopia forums on a rare hunter tame. Now this first surfaced a little while back on Twitter where Adam happened upon this mysterious sort of stone with a ghostly wolf next to it, and it's turned out that this has been the quest is the wrong word, but the sort of mission to find this hunter pet known as Gara. And we covered it because there was this huge amount of work that had gone into this. And these guys, they did a ton of work on the Petopia forums. If you scroll back down into the description in the Wowhead post, you can actually find a link to our little coverage of this, which links you to all of the forum posts, to Adam's blog, to everything. And it's a real, like, it's almost like if it was a quest, it would almost feel slightly like they had done a hunter class quest to figure this out, because it's taken so much dedication from these guys. And now that the information's out there, it's straightforward for other people to do it. But it's a huge undertaking that they've done to find all this stuff out, right? And you helped as well with filters and things, didn't you?
Yeah, so I mean, you have to understand that Gara is a really cool hunter tame because it looks like a void-touched wolf. And players were encountering a lot of them in Tanan Jungle, and they're like, oh, we can't tame them, but they look so awesome because they're, you know, purple and they're white accents and they look Shah-touched. And so they asked the developer if there's any way that one could be tameable. So he had this really clever not quest line, but this really clever sort of mission and backstory explaining why you could get this void-touched wolf. So, you know, it looks really awesome.
Yeah.
And so the Petopia people, they were doing a lot of things with item IDs. They were looking to see, they would go to an item page and they'd say, okay, this is the certain number. Are there any other items that, you know, are like one number higher or lower? And can we get any clues from that? Like, you know, maybe we could combine the two things. Or maybe there's a quest that is, hey, combine the berries, and the berries are a similar ID.
Yeah,
so they were doing a lot of that. And then I was helping them because I was trying to show them how you could find different items that were all created on the same day. Because, if you're a guy developing something for WoW, you're probably developing everything on once and sticking it in
well, you're
on the
obviously
same
going to
day.
probably put it all in at once as well. And just to clarify for anyone who doesn't know this, and you can definitely be a power WoW player and use Wowhead for a long time without realizing this, every item has its own individual ID. So an item ID might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's one unique item. So what Perk's talking about is saying, oh, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is part of this Gara quest chain. We know that. All right, let's look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Let's look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and then go down the other way. Let's look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and just go that way. So it's like looking at the different IDs is a really easy way to sometimes happen upon things. I know Perk and I did this with NPCs for community people right back at the start.
We're like, we know who this guy is. Let's, go one page up. And,
exactly.
Oh, look, there's another PvP guy.
Yeah, so exactly that. That's a kind of a good way for us to hunt down stuff that we are a little bit mystified over or trying to find more information on. But yeah, so they eventually managed to figure out that there was a tree somewhere that they had to use a thing nearby.
Now looking back, I remember that tree because the tree was unfinished. And there was a vignette associated with it, like a fancy quest term. And I'm like, what's this unfinished tree doing here? I'm so confused by it. And now it makes sense because I'm not going to, there might be spoilers, but essentially.
For sure,
yeah, it's essentially looking back, it all fits together for me now.
Yeah.
But, if you're looking around beta for 3 months and you're like, oh, what's this clue? And you're just... you can miss things easily that you've seen for months on end that were finished.
But yeah, so huge congratulations
really
to the
awesome.
guys at Photopia. Yeah, well done. Good job. And, go read the post on Wowhead. We've got links to everything, and huge grats to you guys, particularly the lady who eventually figured it out. Like, there's
and thanks for uploading the pictures and really detailed comment on our page.
Yeah, really, really appreciate it. Great, like it's a cool community effort to sort of all get together and get these things done, and it sort of makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So moving on, every week we talk about what's new on Wowhead, and this week we've obviously got another beta key giveaway. We were did we actually mention that we were generously given another whole bundle of thousands of keys from Blizzard? Did we actually say that on the show?
I think we did, but it's always good to say it again.
There we go. So go ahead.
Yeah, we originally got 2,000 keys, and we burned through all of them a few weeks ago, and we're like, hey, our giveaways are super successful. Can we have even more so we can just keep throwing keys at you guys pretty much until the expansion? So we were given a lot more keys, and we're just doing all sorts of giveaways to make you guys happy.
Exactly. So on that topic, we've got our current main beta key giveaway going on. We're giving away over 500 keys this week. And obviously we'd love to give every single person who signs up for these contests a key, but unfortunately even we don't have that many. So we are doing the contest still. So this one we're talking about exploring zones, which are part of the PTR or 10th anniversary celebration. So Perk, I'm assuming we're looking at Blasted Lands, Ubers, that sort of thing. What are we actually doing?
Ubers was last week, but we're doing the Blasted Lands, Hillsbrad because of the South Shore battle, and Molten Core.
There we go. So any of those 3 zones, as ever, verify your character. You can verify automatically using the OAuth Battle.net login. Or
if it's working, hopefully.
If it's working, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Or we can, obviously, you can go and do it the old-fashioned way by taking pieces of gear off. Again, if the armory is working, which we've had some problems with in recent weeks. So we've also got the big giveaway for a new site, which we've recently welcomed to the ZAM network, which is a site called Destiny DB. And as the name would suggest, it relates to the recently launched Bungie MMO FPS type of game called Destiny. So if you're playing Destiny, we've got talent calculators for all of the classes with all of the subclasses. So if you're a Titan, a Hunter, or a Warlock, we've got all of the talents there for you. We've also got item calculators. Like, as you know, if you're playing the game, there's lots of different items that have sort of a little miniature talent tree within the item. So we've got calculators for all of those as well. So you can share builds. You can go and look up famous streamers' builds. So if you're watching someone stream and you're like, oh man, I wonder what this guy's playing, just type his name into the Destiny DB search and you'll be able to find out exactly what his build is. We've also got a leaderboard, so you can see where you rank worldwide for PvE and PvP and all kinds of different stuff. It's a really, really awesome site. And just to make it a little bit more awesome, we're only giving away just a PS4 or an Xbox One. You know, there's 2 of them going, so it's either, depending on what the user wants, the person who wins the contest, they can either get a PS4 or an Xbox One, so you're not going to be forced into one console or another should you win. Then you can take your pick and we'll be sending those out worldwide. And the giveaway is advertised on the right-hand side of the Wowhead front page. There's a little box there and you can enter right there. You don't even need to navigate anything, but go check out the Destiny DB forums as well, because not only is the giveaway being run via the little app on the Wowhead front page, as well as obviously on the Destiny front page, but if you just contribute in any way at all to the Destiny DB forums, you will automatically be entered to be picked out from at random for another either PS4 or Xbox One. So 2 in total. Do definitely go check it out, and you could win a really awesome current gen, next gen, whatever you want to call it, a really awesome console, basically. So check that out. So moving back to Wowhead now, obviously, Perk and I don't really work on Destiny DB, but we've been very, very busy on Wowhead, updating all sorts of data. So Perk, I know that you guys have been working really, really hard this week on the toy box, which is an awesome feature coming. It's up on the PTR right now. It's coming in 6.0. What have you been doing on it this week?
So we've had our guide forever, and we've also had an item filter for the toy box, but a lot of users didn't notice the filter for whatever reason, so we made it super obvious for you guys to browse all the items in the toy box on Wowhead. We've made a special section for it. If you go to our database and then you go to the item section, you'll notice that at the top we have quick links to really popular things like mounts and professions. So we added one specifically for the toy box. And the really cool thing is that when you click on that, it brings you to a gallery that has images of what all the toys do. So if you're not really into collecting toys, but you really want to now because there's achievements or you want to try something new, you see all these pictures for every item, and you can be like, oh, well, this item turns me into a gorilla. Like, I want to get this first. Or, this item summons a bunch of dancing things. I don't want to turn into a gorilla. Let me collect all the cool summoning things first. So we have this. It looks really cool. Just go to items, quick links, toy box, and you will see images that users have uploaded for all the toys. Very easy to navigate. And then of course we also have our traditional view that has the columns and the item, and you can filter by other things like finding items added in Miss Pandaria, or items that are BOE, items that are from a profession like archaeology. So you can further filter that list of toys to, if you want to collect things that you like doing professions, you can then collect. Just see like, okay, well, these are the 5 toys that do this profession that I like. Or, these are the ones from raids that I really like.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's so much like customizability. So pretty much however you want to find these different toys, you can figure it out through Wowhead. That's amazing. Like, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We had a few things happen very quickly there. So first up, Perk's camera failed, which was really odd. We've been recording the show with no problems at all with Perk's camera for fully 9 weeks, and all of a sudden it stopped working. There was an update to Skype today, which is the software that we use to record this. So maybe that has something to do with it, who knows. But that aside, obviously we still wanted to bring you a show. So for the rest of the content, which won't be that much longer, don't worry, you're stuck with me, and I'm sorry about that. So one of the really big things that we definitely wanted to get across this week was that thanks to the fact that the armory is kind of up and down, and obviously we still want to be able to give you guys a bunch of beta keys. We've been doing it for the past 2 weeks, and we're carrying on with it this week. So we're going to give away 100 beta keys here on the show, and all you have to do is comment on the Wowhead post, again, not on the YouTube post, on the Wowhead post for the show, and basically just tell us your favorite item in Warlords of Draenor. It can be a mount, it can be a toy, it can be pretty much anything you want. Just tell us your very, very favorite item in Warlords of Draenor, and we will give you a Warlords of Draenor beta key. So that is for your trouble. It's basically a contest, so enter to win, comment to enter, and you're good to go. So, other bits of news this week, we had some interesting bits and bobs in a recent beta build. So obviously as the beta is drawing towards its end, as the expansion is getting closer and closer, obviously we've still got a good few months to go yet, but we are getting there. We're now in September, and we know that the expansion is going to launch on the 13th of November. So we've got a couple of months left, but we're starting to see fewer and fewer really monumental changes to the Warlords of Draenor beta. So one of the big things that we saw recently was that the Barber Shop, so you'll all be familiar with the Barber Shop. You see them in a lot of the capital cities, Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Dalaran, they're everywhere. They've got the little twirly stick outside, and you can go in there to get a haircut, and you can also change things like earrings and hair color, all that sort of good stuff. So in Warlords of Draenor, you can actually use them to change your face as well. So your character's face can actually be altered by going into the barber shop and just paying a few gold. Now the prices seem to vary a little bit. There seems to be some inconsistency among the pricing. So Night Elf, for example, which as you all know, if you watch the show, Peculiar plays a Night Elf, and they have at the more expensive end around 49 gold. Certain other characters are around 32 gold. So you literally just go in and you select a face along with the normal sort of left and right arrows, just as you would for any other type of change that you make in the barbershop. So this is obviously really, really exciting. There's been a lot of concern among players that there is obviously like the need for recustomization with the new faces, because as we've talked about several times on the show, it's not necessarily the case that you're going to adore your character's new face. And I'm certainly in that boat with my undead mage. I feel like the strappy X-faced mage just doesn't look as good right now in Warlords of Draenor. The straps are all wrong, it's too much eye, there's eyebrows all of a sudden, and I just don't like it. So I may well make use of this feature. And the only thing which it doesn't do, which I do find slightly odd, is that there's no option to change your character's skin tone. So if you had a very tan character or a very pale character or a bluish character or a greenish character, you haven't got the option to change the skin tone, which to me is slightly odd, given that you have the option to change the face. But maybe that's something that will come in the future. And of course, Blizzard has still got the character recustomization for $15 that people could well still use if they want to change big things like their character's skin tone. But I'm hoping that that might come in the future. And I really can't see people having too much impetus to spend $15 on a character recustomization when they can change all of their facial features in the actual game. So next on our list of things to discuss this week, we also had the 10th anniversary update. So these run, we've just discovered, from the 21st of November to the 6th of January. So all of the people who were worried, who were freaking out about not having enough time to get through Molten Core, not having enough time to level, you've got ages. So the game releases on the 13th of November, as we've spoken about already. So you've got just over a week to get up to level 100, and then the 10th anniversary celebration starts. And of course, you don't have to get to level 100 in just over a week. If if you're at school or if you have something else going on that means you just can't do that, then don't worry about it. You're going to have plenty of time to get that done before the event ends on the 6th of January. So you've obviously got the special level 100 version of Molten Core in there, where you can get the core hand mount from killing Ragnaros, as well as these special island level 640 fiery helms, which are called Crown of Destruction, Crown of Desolation, Crown of Woe, and Crown of Power. As ever, you can see all of this on Wowhead. If you look at the Wowhead post which accompanies this video, you can see all of this information there and go through and click through and look at all these items. So there's also a deathmatch style battleground for Terran Mill, which is pretty cool. There's 2 brackets. You've got one for 90 to 99 and one for level 100. So for the Terran Mill versus Southall, you don't even need to be level 100 to enter it. So you can do that right from level 90 all the way up to level 100. And as is likely the case in lower battleground brackets, there will be upscaling of certain things to the higher level. So if you're level 90, you may well be upscaled to level 99, just for the purpose of this battlegrounds. And winning the battleground rewards the either Terran Mill Terror or South Shore Slayer title. And I think those are pretty cool. They're a pretty sweet reward, from just winning one battleground, even if it is a pretty epically sized 100 versus 100 one. And lastly, with the upcoming the upcoming 10th anniversary stuff, Blizzard has reminded players that the new PvP rated season will start on December 2nd. So this is well within the 10th anniversary celebrations, but it's somewhat unrelated. But PvPers, people like me, guys, we don't need to worry because we've got skirmishers from 6.0 right through to there. So obviously the current PvP season will end with 6.0 as the new talent systems come in. And it's normally the case, as it was with Cataclysm, as it was with everything else, that PvP stops there at the change of the talent systems, because it would be unfair to have a season overlap that massive gameplay change. So that's always a point for PvPers where we sort of go, oh, well, now we have no arenas to do until the new season opens in the new expansion. But that is not the case with Warlords of Draenor. I'm really excited that we'll have skirmishers the whole time. So, wrapping up this obviously rather whistle-stop tour of the second half of the show, without my co-host Peculiar, I obviously just wanted to do a couple of the viewer questions that we ask you guys to send in every week. So I'm going to attempt this name, and Helena, I'm really sorry because I'm almost certainly going to butcher it. Helena Klobucharik. I'm going to guess at Klobucharik. Let's see. Well, Helena, let me know how I did. She asks, can you do the Gara quest only once? If so, what happens if you abandon it and it's a rare spawn? So the Gara thing, which I hope we managed to clarify a little bit, talking about it earlier in the show before Perk's camera died, is a sort of quest. It's just a sort of set of objectives in the world. So it's not dissimilar to any of the rare spawns in Mists of Pandaria where you had to do the tracking. They're just elaborate tames. So there is no reason necessarily why you couldn't abandon her and then go back and do it again. It's not a quest. There's no actual quest associated with getting Gara on your hunter. Obviously, you do have to be Beast Mastery as she is an exotic, but you have no particular quest associated with it. It's epic enough that it could be a quest, but at the moment, at least on the beta, it is not. So it's not a one-time thing, but there is a lot of work involved in getting your hands on this pet. So I would advise not abandoning it unless you've decided you really hate it or something. And lastly for this week, Jason Bopp asked via email, for the toy box, can we get items back that we disposed of due to bag space, such as the vanity archaeology items? The unfortunate response to this question, Jason, is alas no right now. It's something that a lot of players obviously want because, you know, you have run out of bag space, you run out of void storage, and you start dropping stuff, and you're always going to start dropping the stuff that has a lower value, that you're less invested in for whatever reason, and hold on to the really sentimental, important, cool, epic pieces that you really want to keep hold of. So people have had this problem for a long time. And unfortunately, we haven't heard anything from Blizzard that would suggest that they are allowing players to get back vanity items that they used to have. And I can understand why this is annoying. I can understand why this is upsetting. I would love to have the ability in the game to get those things back. It's really a pain to, you know, have had something that's so cool and then you drop it for whatever reason. And now you have the storage to put all these awesome things in and you don't have them anymore. It's such a shame. I don't know exactly how they could do it, and I haven't heard anything that would suggest that they have plans to do that, but can always hope. All right, so that's enough from me this week. Obviously, the second half of the show has gone by quite a lot faster than the first half because of Perk's technical difficulties. She was unable to come back and converse with me about all of this cool stuff. But do remember that you can comment on the post on Wowhead. So again, not the video on YouTube, the post on Wowhead for the Warlords to enter to win one of 100 Warlords of Draenor beta keys. You just need to tell us your favorite Warlords of Draenor item, and you may well get bonus points if you actually link to the item as well. So pop a link in the post. There's the ability to do that within the posting entry box, so it's very straightforward to do. Pop a link in there, and you can follow me on Twitter at Olivia D. Grace. I'm going to go down to Perks. You can follow Perk, who's unfortunately AFK, no camera, on Peculiar. It's above her screen where she would normally be. I miss her. Miss you, Perk. You can follow me on Olivia D. Grace. You can follow Wowhead on Wowhead. And as ever, for all of the information about Warlords of Draenor, for all of the information about Mists of Pandaria, and for all of the information about just about everything, including everything that Perk and I, and latterly I on my own, have spoken about on the show, you can go to wowhead.com. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully join me and Perk next week if we can get her technical issues sorted out. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.